Welcome into the DNVR Avalanche podcast. We got Big E, we got AJ, we got Rudo coming to you live in our new time slot. Of course, our time slot's going to be all over the place with the rookie face-off coming up and, getting into the preseason? Preseason, that's the one. But 1:15 for the next week. Come join us. Have a good time. We're talking defenses in the Central Division today. Who's good? Who's bad? Who's somewhere in the middle? Before we jump into that, we do have a little bit of news today with Puckpedia and many other sources announcing the new NHL CBA will be rolled out in waves. Different portions will be applied at different times across this season and heading into the offseason. The important ones for the start of the 2025 season. LTIR will be less effective in the sense of you can't put a bajillion dollars onto it and just do whatever you want. There will be some level of a playoff cap. You can't defer any money anymore. There are limitations on paper transactions to scam around a bit, as many teams have done. And you can no longer do a double retention on traded players. So keep those things in mind when it comes to the cap. When you're trying to do something crazy on our next Roast My Roster, you might not be allowed to anymore.
Also, it doesn't affect the Avs, but the loaning 19-year-olds to the AHL. How nice would this have been a year ago for the Avs with Cal Ritchie?
Yep.
Like, how different do they still make the big move for Brock Nelson? Maybe, but if he has 50 games in the AHL and the Avs are feeling really, really good about it,
maybe he's not traded for sure. Yeah.
Exactly. Like, and because that uncertainty of, he played 7 games in the NHL. Now he's going to go back to the OHL and waste everybody's time, which is exactly what happened.
Yep.
So it's great for the guys moving forward. It sucks that the Avs could not utilize this last year with Cal Ritchie, because that would have been a really big win for them.
Is it for everybody, or so unlimited, or is it 1 or 2 spots? I don't remember what the rules said.
1 spot per team.
Yeah,
I believe.
One.
I think so too. Okay. I think that's what it was.
It's rare you have multiple of those, but it would have been nice for Richie.
Yeah. Well, we are about to talk about Chicago's defense, so although I think they're all at least 20, but
at this point, I think they're fine.
Yeah. But yeah, the CBA, I think most people feel like it's a move in the right direction for the most part for the league, but we'll get to see some of it enacted right away here. Some of the bigger stuff is waiting. The shortening of contract lengths and things like that will not come until next September. So there is still time for things like Cale Makar's next deal to be an 8-year deal and things like that. Should be fine.
Yep.
All right. Are we ready to jump into Central Division defenses? Yeah. Let's, before we start talking about the Avs in Chicago and everybody else, I do want a general vibe from you guys. Central Division as a whole, how strong is it defensively?
Strong.
Okay.
I like it a lot.
I think it's strong in net. You know what I mean? I think it's strong in net. It starts in net. I think in net overall they're strong. Forget about some unknowns, but the Winnipegs, the Avalanche, the Dallas, it's pretty strong in net. Whether you like Bennington or not, right? It's strong. So that again, name me a strong defense, I'll give you a good goalie, right? You know what I mean? So it's just kind of it works hand in hand. I do believe that the Avs right there, no matter what we're going to say, and I'm going to tell you in advance right now, what I'm going to say here with compared to every defensive group is I'm going to go back to that one answer. Nobody has Kel Makar.
Yeah.
Right away, right? As you're comparing it, nobody has Kel Makar. So it puts the Avs on a different level. But yes, you know what I mean? Like, of course, you can look at the depth, who has more depth, who has more this, who has more of that. But right away, the Avs have to be contenders for the title, right? I'm talking about the best decor title, just because of Kel Makar.
Definitely.
I think if you're talking top pairing, the only team that even comes close to competing is Dallas in the division, right?
Yeah.
That's right.
Like no one else is going to really even come close to touching Makar and Toews as a top pairing. Not that there aren't good top pairs in the division. We'll get into that, but I do with defense. We felt pretty mediocre about the bottom half, or rather with goaltender, I should say, we felt pretty mediocre about the bottom half of the Central. We think there's some good goaltenders in there that could move up, but based on play over the last season or so, it feels a little more uneven. I think when you look at the defenses, you find more consistency than you did in goal, maybe in the Central Division.
I think there's only, when I look at the defenses in the Central, there's only one team that I think has an actual bad defense, and it's Nashville. Like a bad defense that I don't have a lot of hope for. And it's Nashville. Sure. Because right now, Chicago's defense isn't very good, but it's full of so many young players that have a ton of potential.
Dude on that defense is like 25.
Like you're like, hey, look, when they trade Connor Murphy at the deadline for a first round pick, like they're turning it over to the children, it's going to be a really big thing. So that's where I think the separation is for me, is that Chicago's defense today, I don't know how good it is, but by the time they get to game 82, I think we'll have a lot better idea of exactly how good it could be. Because right now it's a lot more potential than reality, and that I think is a really fun element of trying to rank them and figure out how good these guys are on September 2nd.
Well, let's bring up that Chicago defense then, because look, we have a graphic that I had to put 7 names on. I feel confident about my 7 names on every team except Chicago. Vlasic and Murphy will be there. Confident about Vlasic and Murphy being there. Levchinov will be there as a top pick. I'm pretty sure Korchinski will be an NHL regular this year. The rest of the lineup, I don't know. There are multiple guys I didn't put on here that could be regulars for Chicago, and Crevier and Allen specifically. But like we talked about, Murphy's old. Vlasic isn't old, but at least has a decent amount of NHL experience. And then the rest of their lineup, a bunch of 21, 22, 20-year-old kids. So this is the one I genuinely don't know about in the Central.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at what we just talked about with the CBA, Levchunov, he could have been a guy, right? I mean, sorry, could have been. He was just because of where he's born, right? He's born and therefore he can play, which now the rule makes more sense. You know what I mean? I wonder if there's a guy like that in the North American kid. Does he still considered Levchunov, or is it still one? I don't know. We'll figure it out when we talk about the new CBA. But Levchunov, benefited from that. Now, if you're asking me, I haven't been in the front office before. I'm looking at this and I'd be like, and I'm all for young guys. I mean, I'm all for young guys. You guys know that. The O'Reillys and Duchesnes, and they were all 12 years old at the time when they started it. So I'm all for it. But if I'm looking at this, I think for the long-term development of my team, I would have some serious doubts, right? And I'm not saying Rudo put the wrong guys there. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying there's no other guys right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if I'm them, I go get some experience, and you know what I mean, because at the end of the day, we all know they're not winning the Stanley Cup this year, right? But you don't want to, if you really like Korchinski or Rinzel or Levchunov, and they're not ready, then you got to put a veteran guy there just for the time being. Let those guys not get murdered, You know what I mean? With the experience and the, you know what I mean? Like it can be, this league is deadly. It just bites you when you're not ready for it. And sometimes long term, it's not beneficial for you to be playing with a lineup like that. And I know you're going to say, oh, but you're building for the future. The fans would say that. And then if you put, I don't know, Jack Johnson, just using Jack Johnson. I know he's in Columbus, but I'm saying, oh my God, he's blocking Renzel or whatever. Guys, at the end of the day, he's not blocking. He's actually letting the guy develop at his own pace and not rushing. I've seen too many guys being rushed in the NHL in my life where they weren't ready for it. And all of a sudden, there was no other choice, and they played. And then at the end of the day, 2-3 years later, they're gone, where they could have had a 10, 12, 14-year career if it was done right. So I think working for Chicago, I would be looking at this and say, yes, they have some studs. Yeah, some guys that, you know, obviously Renzel was really good when he came in at the end of the year. Guys like that, Levchunov. But how are they going to do an 82-game schedule, and how they're going to be, and they're only going to get better. But you got to be careful so you don't burn those guys and put them. We always talk about slotting guys in the right place. Well, sometimes you get slotted in the wrong place if you're not ready, right? So that's the way I would look at it. I'd be very careful if I was them.
Well, and to your point, there are no AHL veterans at the moment. Their NHL contracts that they have right now that are not listed on their roster are 23, 22, 22, and 22 years old.
Yep.
Like, they don't have
It's
like
all
a
young.
Jacob McDonald or a Jack Ashawn that like they just call up, you know, and like just, hey, we need you to just play a bunch of games. You're going to make an NHL salary while this guy plays in the AHL, continues to get games and develop and whatever. They don't have any placeholders, which is strange because their forward core, they've been doing that for a long time. That's why they paid Nick Foligno. That's why they had Taylor Hall. Like they've been paying guys for years to try and layer their roster a little bit and give those extra veterans that can play some roles. And then their defense at this point, they're just like, all right, Connor Murphy, you're our veteran. That's it. Everybody, good luck, fellas. And it's going to be like the Hunger Games on that defense.
Yep.
You're definitely going to have to earn your spot. I'll put it to you that way. Whichever young kid goes out and does the job is going to get the role there, I think, this year. When you compare it to the Avs here, I think it's pretty clear the Avs get the check mark in every single box to start the season.
Yeah.
You know, maybe Levchunov absolutely goes crazy this year. He pops off immediately and looks really good. Even then, like AJ talked about, they're going to move on from Murphy, and Levchunov's going to move up to their top pairing. And even a good Levchunov is great for Chicago, but is he Toews or Makar? No, at least not yet.
Not yet, yeah. And Alex Vlasic, Alex Vlasic is one of the most underrated defensive defensemen in the NHL. He's really, really solid. But at the moment, that's their best defender. And that means you got some room to grow there. You know, Korchinski and Renzel are guys that are big arrow up guys for me. As much as I hate to admit it, Sam Renzel kind of rocks. Like, that guy, he's a lot of fun. I've never been in
real strong
Korchinski.
last year. I like Kuczynski.
Yeah.
Kuczynski's my guy. But you have to know what he is. He's Tyson Barrie, man. Like,
Kevin Korchinski and Artem Levchunov are two guys that I've been super down on in the draft process, and I've just not been won over by them to this point. And, you know, just from a division rival podcast perspective, great. I hope that continues. But, you know, like young guys with a lot of potential, they could all end up hitting and being. This could be the league's best defense in 3 years, and that would be a nightmare for Central Division.
It could be, but we're ranking them right now. So right now, not even close.
Yeah, at the moment, I would probably just have them at 7. I think I take it back. I would have them at 8.
Tier list it D.
Yeah, at the moment D, but it's like a D with an asterisk in that game 82. There's a good chance I feel very.
It could be a B by then. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
We need to make another graphic to make our CHGO fellas mad again. That's the objective here.
That was a great response. Shout out to the CHGO guys. That was fun.
This is where this is a team that they're going to be on the lookout for the waiver wire there after preseason. So
a good shout for sure.
They'll be picking
great
up
call.
someone.
Yep, I would not be surprised to see them active on some of those waivers. We do have to take our first break of the show here, so let's make sure we're paying our bills, and then we'll get into the meat of the Central Division defenses, as we are brought to you by the folks over at Game Time. Make sure you're jumping in with Game Time to get your tickets. It's used by over 15 million people. And when you sign up, you use code DNVR to get $20 off your first purchase with Game Time. Of course, terms apply there, but it's super easy. Fees are included, so you know your total upfront when you're buying tickets. And Game Time guarantees you the best price out there, whether you're using last-minute ticket deals, section selectors, or the best way to do it all is with the Game Time Picks feature. You can use the Game Time Picks feature, search for what you want. It'll show you the best tickets for the lowest price based on your parameters. So make sure you jump in with Game Time. If you find tickets cheaper somewhere else, they'll guarantee it for you and reimburse your account 110% of the ticket price. So jump in, take the guesswork out of buying whatever type of tickets you want, whether it's college football, it's back, the NFL is back. You can even go to concerts and theaters. Download that Game Time app, create the account, and use that DNVR code. Again, code DNVR for $20 off. Tap, ticket, go. Download the Game Time app today. Once you got your tickets through Game Time, also make sure you're getting yourself into the official vehicle of DNVR, which is Toyota, to get yourself to the game. 17 different vehicles with all-wheel drive, so even in bad weather, it's no problem to hop into your Toyota and have a good time driving down the road. They've got vehicles for everyone, whether it be trucks, SUVs, sedans, and more. Toyota has it all, and they guarantee you a good time in their car, because even if you're me, who just commutes into the city, I don't do any crazy driving. They got 16 different hybrid vehicles to choose from, including hybrid trucks, if that's your thing. Whatever it is, Toyota has the vehicle for you. Go check them out at your Front Range Toyota stores, including AutoNation Toyota, Arapahoe and Centennial, Corwin Toyota in Boulder, Groove Toyota in Littleton, Mountain States Toyota in Denver, Stevenson Toyota Houston, Aurora, and Stevenson Toyota West in Lakewood. Jump in. Toyota, let's go places. All right, second period of the DNVR Avalanche podcast. Very quickly, we are also partnered with Big Brothers Big Sisters. If you're looking to give to a good cause, great place to do it. We're doing some donating all month, doing a bunch of different stuff with them for the month of September. On the sidebar of this video and all of our other podcasts, basically this month, you can donate. It goes a long way to help with a bunch of kids in need that, you know, need some help. You can also sign up to be a big for them if you want to help out in person, physically with the kids and stuff. It's a great opportunity for everyone. We love them over there. Obviously, it's nice to do something for a good cause. Highly recommend if you can afford it. Go support them. Go help out the kids. Do the good stuff with Big Brothers Big Sisters. All right. Second period of the DNVR Avalanche podcast. Do we want to talk about the Avs by themselves for a minute? Because as we talked, obviously Toews Makar's baller top pairing, one of the best top pairings in the league, inarguably. But their bottom four gets a little bit more interesting. We've had many conversations about how the Gerard Manson pairing maybe puts up good numbers at times, but is awkward and has struggles with giving up the big play. You have Malinsky probably starting the season on his offside. How do we feel about this Avs decor behind the big guys? It's all you, E.
I like it. Yeah, I like it. I do. Best top pairing in the league, in the world, give and take, right? Even if Olympics, you know, that's going to be one of the top pairs at the Olympics, right? When you do the math, right? The Bontes, Kel Makar, tough to beat. I'm going to put my hat on. Sammy G fan club, you guys know that. I like him for what he is, not what he doesn't bring. We all know what he doesn't bring, but he brings a lot more of than the other stuff. So now, could he benefit from a guy like Burns? Maybe sometimes just like, you know, it worked for a while with Josh, right? But then we all know there was a little bit of struggles. I love Josh Manson. I think that if you're asking me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it's as good as any 5 in the league in my book. Sam Malinsky, I like. I'm not bashing on Sam Malinsky. I think I like him for what he is. Do I have reservations that he's a top 4? I wouldn't be able to commit that he's a top 4. I would say that he can play the next 10 years as a top pair guy. Absolutely. As a third pair guy, I got no problem. And there's nothing wrong with that. That is not knocking him down. I think he can chew more I think he's just a solid third pair. Now, how good is he going to be on the left side if you're leaving it that way? Time will tell. I do believe he's played before on the left a little bit, like we saw. Now, is he going to be comfortable? Is he going to be awesome? Some guys over a long period of time have a hard time. They can pitch in for a game here or there. We'll see. And again, I do like the element of toughness of Keaton Middleton. That's what we talk about, the three of us, all the time. And he's gotten better as a hockey player. So if you're asking me, do I like them? That is his, that's a top three defensive pair in the National Hockey League. Some people at the NHL Network, they put them at the top. I'll leave it at top three, and we could debate, around the league. We're talking about Central Division, but here today, the Avalanche for me is a well-built decor. The one thing is just the left side. Sam Malinsky is a righty. I am like a coach. I do a righty.
Yeah, and there is a question mark there, right? We've never seen Malinsky really play on his offside. It might look fine. It might be completely unfunctional. We just don't know yet. So I think that is the big question mark. I think Manson as a third pairing guy is a big opportunity for them. At this point in his career, he's not like a high end second pairing guy like he used to be, but he could still hold on and be a fine number 4 for you, regardless of the Gerard Burns issues that they've had. So moving him to a third pairing feels pretty good. I think you feel pretty good about what Burns does in the Colorado Avalanche system. That it's hard not to feel good about this. And Tiff, I don't know if you can bring up Dallas's pairings as well, because realistically, these are the two top defenses in the division to me, is Colorado and Dallas. So when you're looking at them compared directly, do you think the Avs defense is better than Dallas?
I don't, because if you break it down like to the simplest level of simplicity, if that can make sense what I'm saying, if you go top guy to top guy, I think if you ask 32 general managers or 32 fan bases, or 30, except Colorado or Dallas, do you take Makar over Heiskanen? I would say that 30 out of 30 would. Like I said, forget about Colorado fans, forget about that. He would take Makar, they would take Heiskanen. I mean, listen, Heiskanen is a hell of a player. I love him. I do believe 30 out of 30 pick Makar. Now, this is where Harley has made a big jump last year. I think he's kind of like your Devon Toews, so to speak, right? Obviously younger, but, Olympic team, all that kind of, 4 Nations kind of was his coming out party, was awesome in the playoffs. I love Devon Toews. Talk to me in a different day if you're going to take one or the other. Let's put him on an equal level, you know what I mean? Now, S.L. Lindell, for me, is an unbelievable third guy, right? Unbelievable third guy. That's just my take on him. And where it gets dicey, and I love Sammy. Lindell brings something different than Sammy, and Sammy does bring something different than Lindell. And then Lyubushkin is where he's a third pairing guy at best, right? We all know that, and I like him. I mean, I've been after him for years as a 6-7. Now, where Manson is way better than Lundqvist, and then obviously Bichsel. I learned to hate him in the playoffs last year, and there's a reason for that, because he was noticeable. He did his job, and when I say hate, it's all the respect in the world, because boy, oh boy, I like that guy. A mammoth of a player. He's a giant. He plays hard. He's physical. He's only going to get better. He gets bitter on the ice. He gets mad. And then Petrovic is your Middleton. So I do believe the Avs have the advantage, but you're right. It is the top 2 in my book in the Central Division, is those 2 teams.
AJ, who's better?
I think Colorado today is, but the one ace in the hole here is that Liam Bichsel could be really, really, really good, and if he gets his feet sorted out and the puck moving, his potential is a lot higher than either Sam Malinsky or Josh Manson. And that gives them, their left side is going to be Harley, Lindell, Bichsel. Like, that's a great left side. Their right side right now is Heiskanen, Lyubushkin, Lundqvist. That's not very good. And Miro Heiskanen is awesome. But E is correct. Ilya Lyubushkin is a third pairing guy. He did a reasonable facsimile of a solid defensive defenseman in the middle of a lineup last year, fine. But continuing to rely on that, not very. And Miles Lundqvist just has never quite found it. He has not been worth it for the price they paid to get him from the Rangers. He's never really popped. Yeah, Thomas Harley is great though. Like that guy is, he's honestly so good. And that's I like Colorado's defense better 1 through 6. Because I really don't like the right side for Dallas and the right side for Colorado. Like Josh Manson, this is going to be the first time that he should be a third pairing guy. And if they use him as a third pairing guy, I think you'll get exactly what you want out of him. I think he'll be one of the better ones. Brent Burns is still really solid. That's a really good player, and we are hopeful that a Gerard Burns pairing can do work. Sam Malinsky is a big question mark for me on the left side. If he was on the right side in his natural spot, I'd feel better about it. But I do really like how the Avs stack up to this group. I liked it in the postseason when they didn't have Heiskanen and they still beat them. So, great.
There's a couple of things here. One, I do think this direct comparison shows how important the Burns signing was this offseason.
Yeah.
That's the difference between having a legitimate top 4, 1-4, and playing Ilya Lyubushkin in your top 4. Nothing against Josh Manson. Like I said, he's just not quite the guy he was anymore. And moving him down to a third pairing gives you a lot more security there. But I will say, both of these teams are terrified of defensive injuries. Keaton Middleton as a 7, regardless of how you feel about him, feels a little bit of a stretch to be an everyday NHLer. Alex Petrovic as Dallas's 7 does not feel good either. You feel a little bit stuck if you have to dig into your depth a little bit on either team where you don't love it. Not that that's an uncommon issue. Most NHL teams are lucky to be 7 deep, but there are some out there that do have that ability. And the other thing that I wanted to touch on is that Lundqvist situation. Maybe there's a world Pete DeBoer's gone. There's a change in the coaching staff that opens up a little bit more opportunity for Lundqvist. Not that I'm saying he's an amazing player or anything, but it did seem like Pete DeBoer just didn't know what to do with him. So we'll see there if maybe he can help himself. And then I'm a little bit lower on Bischel than you guys are. Not that he isn't. He's the way he plays has clearly earned him an NHL role for indefinitely. He plays in the way that's how you get jobs in the NHL. You mess with the pot. You create chaos out there. But I do wonder how high that ceiling really is. He may run into a bit of a brick wall if you try to move him up too aggressively when it comes to that puck moving and skating ability.
The thing with them though is with Lindell and Harley right there.
Yeah,
they don't
he doesn't have to move up. That's true. It's a fair point.
Yeah, he's not going to be asked to do much more than what they're already asking of him, and he's 21 years old. Like he could be a major arrow up guy, and that I think is a great feather in their cap. I like their 7 and 8 because they also have Vladislav Kolyachonok, who they got from Pittsburgh in exchange for Matt Dumba. I like Kolyachonok more than anybody the Avs have at 7, 8, 9, whatever. Like Keaton Middleton as their 7 is like you could just put waiver claim there instead of Keaton Middleton, and I would probably be more comfortable with that. But I'm a hater. Eric's tired of it, but I'm a hater.
Despite the hate, AJ leaning Avalanche, E leaning Dallas here. Are either of these teams' defenses good enough to put in S tier, or are these A tier defenses?
I think the top pairings are the most important part of a defense, so I would probably put them both in S tier because Lindell, Heiskanen is fantastic. They've been great for a long time, and if they wanted to move Harley up next to Heiskanen, they could easily do that, and it's still a great top pairing. So I think they're both S tier based on the power of their top pairing.
I second that.
Okay, they both make S tier. So we have 2 S tiers and a D tier defense. 3 teams into the Central Division. I love it. Let's move on to Minnesota. Minnesota is one where I guess my question is, how long can Spurgeon and Brodin keep doing it as they start to get into the second half of their careers, or later than that even? We do need to take a break, though, so I should make sure we do that before we jump in fully to Minnesota. Let's make sure we hit our bill paying, as I usually say, and get yourself some Shady Rays. I'm staring into a very bright light right now, so I can use some Shady Rays. I'll tell you that much. They're the best sunglasses you can find out there. Over 300,000 people have given them 5 stars. And when you get a pair at ShadyRays.com today, you can get 35% off any pair of polarized sunglasses with code DNVR. Obviously, Shady Rays are dope. They have hundreds of different styles. You can get different polarization colors. You can even get some team colors on there if that's your thing, if you want to get some Avs or some Broncos colors. They've got those options. But the coolest part about Shady Rays is when you buy a pair, if you lose them, break them, or just don't like them, even on day one, Shady Rays will send you a new pair, no guilt trip, just replacements. Full 30 days. You can try them out, see if you like them, and get them replaced with Shady Rays. So don't have any fear when you wear your sunglasses, whether it's on hikes, at concerts, on the boat, or wherever you are. Go get with Shady Rays to bring in your favorite sunglasses. Again, head to ShadyRays.com. Use code DNVR to get 35% off. Try for yourself the 5-star shades rated by over 300,000 people. Once you get your Shady Rays in, make sure you're also taking care of your finances when it comes to Monarch Money. You can jump in with Monarch Money. Look, obviously finances, they're a complicated thing, but Monarch Money is built for people with busy lives. If you put off organizing your finances, that's where Monarch Money comes in. It'll do all the heavy lifting. It links to all your accounts in minutes. You get clear data visuals so you can see all your money, smart categorization of your spending so you can see control over it, and you can see where all of it is going. You don't want to leave money on the table. When you're making good money, it's easy to get complacent, but Monarch Money will help you continue to grow your finances. You don't need to track every dollar, but ignoring your finances, it turns into a big problem. And Monarch Money is one of the best ways out there. It was named the best budgeting app by the Wall Street Journal for 2025, and Forbes named it the best app for couples. CNBC, top finance tech company in the world. They're great at what they do. So head over to Monarch Money today. Make sure you get in with them. Don't let financial opportunity slip through the cracks. Use code DNVR at monarchmoney.com to get 50% off your first year. That's half off your first year at monarchmoney.com with code DNVR. Third period of the DNVR Avalanche podcast. Minnesota. AJ, I know you're a Brock Faber hater, and
True.
To be honest, talking about the 19-year-old thing, if it doesn't go well, Buium could be a great candidate for that.
Yeah, I mean, Buium, Jiricek, you're talking about a really young bottom of this group here. Spurgeon and Brodin, it's the opposite. They're getting a little older. They're beat up. They've sustained some injuries over the last couple of years. They've slowed down a lot. Jared Spurgeon, one of the great underrated defensive defensemen of this generation, has never gotten the proper due for how incredibly effective he's been in his career, despite being like 5'8". Jonas Brodin, a great defensive defenseman, but again, the injuries have started to really slow that effectiveness. Brock Faber, one of the most overrated players in the NHL, in my opinion. Jacob Middleton did not have a good year. He did not have a good year. I think that like he's always been the good brother, right? And in the past, there have been games that I've watched of his that I think, wow, he's really good. This guy's a problem. He's a lot to handle. And then there are other games you just watch him getting danced, and it's just the inconsistency there. They really need those kids to hit. They've invested a lot in the future of that defense, being Faber, Buium, and Jiricek. I gotta say the bottom of this defense, Zach Bogosian, potentially Jack Johnson, or Matt Kiersted. Matt Kiersted is I'm telling you right now, Matt Kiersted is my keep an eye on that guy on the waiver wire. If he makes it to the waiver wire and the Avs don't put a claim in, I will say not nice things on the podcast. Kind of like with Valimaki last year. I'll be mad about it. That's exactly what I would like for the Avs to do. I hear you, man. We'll get there. We're talking about it.
Yeah, I know.
The bottom of this defense is just so like Buium and Jiricek. it could go well. They could also both go. They're both AHL eligible. They're waiver ineligible, so they may not even be on this defense. And if the bottom of this defense is Jack Johnson and Zach Bogosian, I'm not worried about it at all.
Yeah, that's a yikes.
Yeah, that's not scaring me even a little bit. So depending on like where they go here, the bottom of this defense could really bottom out.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to make a play on word there, but I got lucky.
But the like 7th, like Bogo Cup he's a 7. It's fine,
Yeah.
It just makes you realize how unbelievable what Kel Makar did a few years back when he came out of UMass. Remember, against the Calgary Flames, like just absolutely demolished them. And obviously Zeev came in last year, and he played a little bit, but it didn't go like. What I'm trying to say is just how remarkable Kel Makar's journey's been, right? And I'm not trying to compare Zeev to Kel. That wouldn't be fair. But Zeev Boom's a good player. He was an outstanding player at DU. Now, the NHL will see. I do believe he's slotted right, if that's what it is. And you got to be ready, like you said, AJ. And then Jiricek, obviously, last year they made the trade. They felt he wasn't ready. They put him back in the American League. I think he thought he was going to be going to the NHL, and obviously he just went in there for a little bit, right? A little cup of coffee, I believe. I'm trying to remember. But where it hurts is I don't believe Middleton is slotted right. I think he's a second pair guy. I don't believe he's a top pair guy. But Spurgeon and Brodin were such an unbelievable top pair for so many years. But now we all saw last year, smaller stature, and Spurgeon, and he got hurt right for a bit. And then once that starts, you don't wish that on anybody because he's had an unbelievable career. And you're right, what an underrated player Spurgeon is. Brodin's always been my guy, like my safety blanket, my Devon Toews, so to speak. Like, for me in the scouting world, it's like getting hands on Brodin, you know what I mean? So, but getting older, I do like Brock Faber. Do I think he's overrated? I'm not going to go there. No, is he my favorite? No. But no, it's worked out. It's a trade that worked out for both, right? Fiala's done more than fine in LA, and obviously they needed some scoring in a forward. And Faber was that young unknown, unknown to fans. I mean, not unknown to obviously to Minnesota because they made the deal. But I think it's just having some guys placed in their lineup probably could hurt them. And you're right. If they don't hit, the third pair doesn't hit, they could be in trouble.
It almost feels like not only does the third pair need to hit, by the end of the season, these guys need to be taking on major roles, right? Whether it's Jiricek developing in the defensive side of his game and maybe replacing some of what you're getting out of a Spurgeon or a Brodin. And then with Buium, it's obviously the offensive flash is there in his game. It's just, can he handle the NHL? We're going to find out.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, if Spurgeon, Brodin, they can't hang. If they can't hang, this defense drops
is in trouble.
Several magnitudes for me. Yeah,
yep, agree.
Like the decline of Spurgeon, Brodin needs to be matched by the ascent of Buium, Jiricek. If that is what happens, I think that this I would have this as an A tier defense. But until that happens, I feel like putting them there, kind of like B with an asterisk of like, if they're healthy and they're good, I think they're better than a B. But right now, I don't trust any of it. You're talking about trusting unproven kids and two guys with a ton of injuries.
By game 40, maybe an A, but to start the season, I have to put him in B. There's no way.
Yeah, I'm with it.
Any counter argument? Are you good? All right, cool.
I'm good.
We'll move on.
I'm good.
We'll move on to Nashville, which
D.
I think you can give them a C, assuming Roman Josi doesn't fall off a cliff.
Yeah, I don't remember what he got diagnosed with this offseason. I have no idea how that's going to affect
Is he even going to play? Like, I don't know. But
yeah, Brady Shea was horrific his first year in Nashville. I mean, it was a train wreck. He was so awful his first year for the Preds. Nick Hague, I know, Eric, I know you're a fan. There are things about him that I like, but he should be on a third pairing, and right now he's not. Nick Perbix is a guy that I got a little wild on in free agency. I was a little unreasonable with how much I liked him. We're gonna see. We're gonna see if I was
Yeah. Can he hang or not? We're gonna
right
find
that
out.
he's a guy. Yeah, exactly, because they need him to. And the entire bottom group there: Blankenburg, Barron, England. Okay.
Yep.
I don't know that
It's a
any of those
bunch of
guys belong in the
guys.
NHL.
None of them have
I'll
really
defend-
held down a full timer, but go ahead, E.
No, I'm going to defend Hague here. I'm going to say because it's pertinent to what I said earlier about Malinsky. See, I like Hague. I like him as a third pairing. So you're absolutely right. You know, I mean, I do like him. I think he's an absolute stud on a third pair. Now, you bring him to the top four. I don't like it. I don't believe in it. But I like him as a third pairing. Perbix, probably a third pair. I don't know. You're more in love, like you said, with him than I know about him. I think England is a perfect 7. I do. I like the way he plays. I like the way, he played with the Avs, played with LA, and he's tough, and he can pitch a few innings. I believe he's a 7. But yes, you're right. Yossi, Shea, they got obviously Yossi's. He was a stud. Is he still a stud? Time will tell, like we just said. Shea is going on the downhill a little bit. But does that, between 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is pretty average, right? You know what I mean? Pretty average. And that's, I'm going to say below average. You know what I mean? So I think there's a lot of meat missing between 2 and I think there's a lot of meat between 2 and 6 that they're missing. You know what I mean? And I'll take England as a 7, fine. You know what I mean? So I think it's a little less desirable than, a passable grade there.
There's a couple of issues. Hague, I agree with you, but they gave him $5.5 million this offseason. They gave him the money to be a second pairing guy, not a third pairing guy. So that's a problem for them. Their bottom pairing, both Blankenburg and Barron are righties. I have no idea if one of them can play their offside. I frankly just don't know. The only other question I had for you guys, and I think I know E's answer based on what he just said, but if you had to choose a 7, Middleton or England?
England.
Yeah, me too.
Okay. Just checking. So they can at least check the number 7 box.
Yeah, but I like Middleton. You know what I mean? I do. As you guys know, for what he brings. So
I have their defense at a C, assuming Yossi is healthy enough to play and be a reasonable NHL defenseman. But if you guys both have him at D, I'm not going to argue too much.
Yeah, I mean,
honestly, I think I hated a little hard on Justin Barron here. I kind of just overlooked him. He was pretty solid. The rest of their defense sucks. That's a D for me.
I'll second it. I'm not arguing, AJ. That was too quick and to the point that I can't argue that.
All right. We'll put him in D. Tiff in the chat saying D, but ahead of Chicago. Are we good with that, or should we put him behind Chicago?
I'm good with that based on the power of Roman Yossi's career. Because if Roman Yossi's still the man, he's the best player between those two teams. So, yeah, I'm good with that.
Fair.
An interesting comparison, right? Because you have two teams going in two very different directions. Chicago is a D, but ceiling potential to move up this year. Nashville is a D, but not a lot of upwards trajectory hope for this organ. The only guy you're really hoping can take another step is probably Perbix. The rest of this, you're like, Yossi and Shea, please just hang on. Hague, please don't suck on the second pairing, and we'll get whatever we get out of our third pairing. So,
yeah, Shea, please reverse the cratering of last year. Like, this is a defense built on a lot of hoping, lot of hoping, and not a lot of track record here to go off of.
For sure. All right, let's move on to St. Louis. St. Louis, a defense that hasn't held up to scrutiny since the loss of Pietrangelo, really. Parayko just has not panned out as the number one defenseman that St. Louis thought he was going to be. And now you have this weird aging defense with Fowler and Falk. You have Parayko, who's a bit miscast. You pick up Broberg last year. You pick up Mailloux over this offseason. Is there upside here, or is this a team just with a bunch of mixed bag stuff?
This is a lot of they did really, really well under Jim Montgomery, who's a really good coach. So it's not a surprise that some of these guys popped, but is Cam Fowler really like suddenly back to being a top pairing player? Or did he just have 50 really great games under Jim Montgomery? I don't know. And that bottom of that defense.
I lean the latter for sure.
Yeah. Like Parayko, I think, has been consistently exposed as being just a touch in over his head as a top pairing guy ever since Pietrangelo left. He hasn't been able to do that job.
Yep.
Was a great second pairing guy behind Pietrangelo as the man on that right side. It just has never really gone very great for them. Justin Falk, I've always liked him. I always felt like he was pretty good. Broberg was fun. But yeah, the bottom of this defense, like they're pinning a lot of hope that Logan Mailloux is the man, that he's going to take a big step forward as a puck mover for them. And I don't know. I don't feel strongly about his game. I feel stronger about him as a person.
Not in a good way.
Yeah.
What's his name? Parayko's like finding it the hard way a little bit. Can think of Paul Stastny and Joe Sakic leaving, right? You're in the second hole, and then all of a sudden the main guy leaves. That's what it did to him. Pietrangelo left. It puts him in a different slot. I think it's in the wrong slot, so I agree with that. Now they're banking on a guy like Mailloux hitting. That's a little bit like the Faber, trade, Fiala. Give and take,
Yeah.
Balduke.
Yeah, it is.
But it's like, right, you the more established guy is Balduke, and then, the less known name, obviously known in the scouting world and in the first round pick, and in Mailloux, but like Faber was, but that's kind of smells the same way there. And yeah, I mean, Cam Fowler, I loved him for so many years, absolutely loved him. I'd walk out of Anaheim and I'd be like, man, gotta get this guy out of there. You know what I mean? And over the years, everybody, you got to remember, Lindholm was there, Fowler was there, Montour was there, Shea Theodore was there. I mean, it was unbelievable what they had a few years back. And then all of a sudden, the last man standing was Fowler. You know what I mean? And then he gets traded last year, and you're like, and I mean, no one really made anything of the trade. Next thing you know, he was unbelievable for 50 games, like you said. Unbelievable. He like single-handed, with Monty going behind the bench and everything, probably carried that franchise there. So yeah, who knows how that's gonna be? Falk and Broberg, who knows? But Tucker, Mailloux, question marks, right? How is that gonna be? And how's Broberg on the right side, by the way? Has he always played the right side?
He's Broberg, on the left.
I mean, is he? Oh yeah. Broberg left and Falk on the right. That's right. Falk's a righty. So what am I talking about? Sorry. I think that's a B for me. That's a B. That's not. I don't hate it at all. I don't love it. But I again, I like it. Might be a question mark on the back end. That's about it.
The problem for me is Justin Falk is not the guy he was 2 years ago. I have serious concerns about his ability to maintain a quality NHL player, especially a guy who in St. Louis, they rely on him for a ton of offense. Yes, I know Cam Fowler helped fill in that role last year, but we've already talked about, can he really keep that up? I struggle with that. I struggle with that on top of having no one that really is at the top of this defense. We talk about it all the time. Toews and Makar are what separate the Avs defense, and you're running.
Yeah.
Even if it goes well, you're essentially running 2 second pairs with your top 4.
Yeah. I think that's a fair criticism, is to say that, yeah, you like your second pairing, think it had a pretty good year, but you have 2 second pairs and not a real first pair. Now,
Yeah.
what Fowler and Parayko did last year feels likely to be anomalous. If that's the case, this is like more of a C tier, but I'm fine with them in B for right now, because I do really like their second pairing. The bottom of it, I think, is bad, but it's bad with upside. And as we've said with several other times with some of these
It's
teams,
not just bad.
exactly. Upside at least allows you to dream for better days ahead, not just going, oh well, this is gonna be ugly. This sucks.
Okay. B tier for St. Louis. Let's move on to Utah.
And I always remember on Falk too. He in order to sign him, they had to get rid of Pietrangelo, and that's why a lot of people got mad about that one. But anyway, on to Utah.
Utah's defense is weird. You can basically ignore all these pairings. When I was looking through the minutes, Oli Mata played over 200 minutes with like 4 different guys on this defense. It made absolutely no sense. Sergachev also played with everybody on this defense, both sides. Like, they didn't care. So the pairings don't make any sense, but the names are generally correct. They lose Kesselring in the deal for Peterka. They gain Nate Schmidt. I don't know. I like John Marino. I'm a Sergachev stan, but the rest of this decor, I don't know.
Yeah, I think Sergachev, Dursey, Marino is a really good 1-2-3. I really like that. I'm with that. Nate Schmidt was awesome in Florida, but that was coming off of a pretty bad exit out of Winnipeg. So how much of that is just being in that Florida environment? Is he going to be as good a fit in Utah? I'm a little not sold there, but I like Nate Schmidt more than Ian Cole and Oli Mata and the version of Juuso Valimaki that they got last season. Because Valimaki's play did crater last year. It took a huge step back, which is why the guy went unclaimed on waivers, despite only having a $2 million salary. So it's really like, it feels with Cole, Mata, and Valimaki, you're talking about 3 third pairing guys at this point in their careers.
Yeah. Agree.
Yeah, and this is where I get worried a little bit for guys like Nate Schmidt. You know what I mean? We loved Nate Schmidt last year. We thought it was an unbelievable reclamation project. Sly did a good job in the Florida Panthers with him. But that's where he's at. He's a third pair guy. You know what I mean? So now if you got him to try to squeeze him into instead of Cole, or, you know what I mean, then that's when you start being in trouble, right? You know, so right now it looks okay. Even Cole, like, Cole's a third pairing guy. You know what I mean? My book, not a second pairing guy. So again, Sergachev, do I like him? Yes. Has he won cups? Yes. But he's your main guy. Okay, that's fair. Dursey obviously got hurt for a bit, and you know what I mean. Like, he comes from a lot. Is he really a top pair guy? You know what I mean? Like, is he?
Yeah.
Or he's more like a second pair guy. You know what I mean? Which is fine. Like, I'm not. Hey, listen, you call someone a second pair guy in the NHL, it's a pretty good compliment. That's not
It's a really good player.
That's what I mean. But I don't think he's a top pair guy. Walshy would be mad here. I do believe he's with Walshy, so I think. Alan Walsh. Maybe I'm wrong. Yeah, I mean, I think it's just there's not a lot of youth, right? You know what I mean? There's more like, Marino's not young anymore. I'm not saying he's 50, but he's not, 20 years old. So there's a lot of experience there. That's why I like it. 1 through 7. Do they scare me? No. Would I feel confident going to battle with this and to be a playoff contention team, top to finish? I guess we'll see. You know what I mean? So that's just
I
where
think
I'm at with it.
whereas St. Louis lacks a top pair entirely, I think this decor kind of lacks a true number one. Don't get me wrong. I
Yeah.
really love Sergachev. I think he probably is
Yep.
a low end number one in the NHL, but in a perfect world,
Yeah.
he's your number two, and then you have a really good defense. If you move everybody down one on this list, Mata becomes your seven. You have a veteran experienced pair with Cole and Schmidt on your bottom pairing, and then you have Dursey and Marino to round out your top four. You look at that and you go, that's a really good defense, but you can't just pluck a number one out of the sky. So Utah's, again, it's another situation where some guys feel elevated one spot too high, maybe.
Yeah,
Out of slots.
there aren't 32 number one defensemen in the
Sure.
NHL. There's maybe 15 if I'm being generous.
Yeah.
So there's going to be a lot of teams that are in this exact situation where a guy that's maybe a guy, in this case probably both guys that are on their top pairing, aren't really fit for that.
Yep.
Like aren't like the perfect guy for that. I guess Sergachev I'd probably think would be on a
He's a
top
good
top
number
pairing
two.
for a
He's a
lot
good
of
number
teams.
two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Sergachev isn't so much miscast, but yes, you move Dursey and Marino, like those are, if John Marino's your third pairing guy, you love your defense. But as a second pairing, you're like, all right, that's solid. And I've always been a big Sean Dursey guy, so I'm excited to see what he does with a fully healthy season as
Healthy.
a
Yeah.
top here. But yeah, this defense just falls off so quickly that it's like, it's, you know, with Kesselring there on that third pairing, I think I would have loved this defense, but with no Kesselring and with Paterka in there, fine. Like it's a fair trade. I have no issues there with that upgrade for them, right?
Yeah.
I do know Dmitry Simashev is over and is in North America now. He's going to be probably
Is he
playing for
going to
their AHL
play?
team.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
one of their guys, though, I know Maverick Lamoureux's put in some quality NHL minutes as well, but one of their guys that I
Girl.
really, really like, Max Schuber, the German kid. I love that kid. That is a dude that, look, if you're looking for a guy that's a little bit more down on the depth chart that you'd like to see a team give some minutes to, Max Schuber would be it. I really, really like him.
All right. Believers in the future, maybe, for Utah. Right now, though, B or C?
C.
Yes, he's good.
Okay. Throw him down in the C tier. Last up, we have the Winnipeg Jets. Look, I really like Josh Morrissey, obviously. I think he, especially last year, he's in the peak of his career. He's playing really, really well. I really like Dylan DeMello, but not if he's going to play 22 minutes a night. He's more of a second pairing guy at best.
Yeah.
You have Sandberg and Pionk. I don't really have any issues there. I've never really been a big Logan Stanley fan, though. And Luke Shen is at the end of his career, basically.
Yeah, again, this is another team. The bottom of their defense really tails off here. Shen was not good in Winnipeg when they got him from the deadline. Logan Stanley's a bum. He's only in the lineup because he's big. He takes a lot of penalties. He gets beat. He gives up a ton. He is a picture perfect example of big is not always better for a defenseman because he plays physically, right? He brings a physical edge, but he takes a ton of penalties. He watches his team get scored on from the box way too often for a guy that's supposed to do one thing, and that's defend the net. He does a poor job of everything that he is supposed to be doing. He should not be in the NHL. He is one of those guys that drives me insane on an NHL roster because he's I need big, I need grit, I need toughness. He's a paper tiger. He's 6'5" and he folds like the French. It's a joke, dude. It's a joke. He's absolutely awful. And you're not getting any better. Colin Miller is a guy that I really like. Way one-dimensional, bad feet, aging, not great. Hayden Fleury has never been able to get it going. Ville Heinola, they will not trust Ville Heinola. I don't know why, but they will not give a job to Ville Heinola, and instead choosing to go with this Logan Stanley thing. So this is a team, I like their top four. I think their top four is very good. I would have that as an S tier top four. I really like it. Neil Pionk is a product of his environment more than anything. That means next to Sandberg, he's great. If Sandberg gets hurt and he has to play next to one of these other guys, he's going to go back to being a bum. So that's Their top four would be just a shade below Colorado and Dallas for me, but the bottom of this defense is a joke.
Yeah, I can't. I mean, that was bad. I like Josh Morrissey. We'll talk about
I'm here. Go over to DNVR.com to get our final thoughts. Yep.
Yep. And I do believe he's a good player. But, yeah, DeMello, I mean, is that chewing too much? I'd like him on the second pair. They got a bunch of second pair guys, right? DeMello, Sandberg, Peon. And you're right. It's a little redundant at the end there on the third pair. And even with Colin Miller, he's got a bomb, by the way. Oh, my Lord, does he have a shot.
Great shot. Great shot.
So, so that affects them. And that's why, for me, it's a B rating. Probably a B rating for me overall.
I'm giving it an A just because, again,
I struggle with this defense.
Their top pairing is awesome. Their top four is great.
I think I probably lean A, but my question is this defense being propped up in the regular season by Connor Hellebuyck? Does it look better than it is because they have the Vezina goaltender behind them?
No. Their defense is good.
But it helps to have a good goalie.
It really does.
Both ways. It helps the goalie as well, right? So
Yeah, for sure. Maybe the defense is turning Hellebuyck into a Vezina goaltender, except for in the playoffs. But
it's a good defense that produces elite results because of Connor Hellebuyck, I think is where I would like to put that.
All right. That sounds like an A-tier description to me. So I'll go with A for Winnipeg.
All right.
I think we needed an A too. So I think we got one in every tier at least.
Look at us go.
Graphic. It feels pretty clear cut that Dallas and Colorado are at the top, right? It feels like Dallas and Colorado and then everybody else. Maybe Winnipeg bridges that gap a little bit, but for the most part, mixed bag of teams on the decline, teams on the ascent, but nobody's quite where they're going to land yet. So,
yeah, I think also, like, we're ranking these defenses, but you look at the cap situations of some of these teams. The Avalanche still have a little bit of space if they wanted to add. Dallas doesn't. Dallas is going to have to put in a little bit of work if they wanted to add on that deep, like meaningfully add. Not here's $1 million guy. And like the Jets have enough space to kind of do what they want, but what more do they need? Their third pairing. They've got 4 third pairing guys. Like they don't need it, right? Like they need somebody that's actually good. Yeah, they need somebody that's actually good there. And like Chicago's got $1 million, millions and millions of dollars in cap space. The Blues sneaky struggling with a little bit of space, but Torrey Krug's LTIR will kick in. So they'll be able to kind of add as they see fit, but are they going to? I have no feel for them. So I really don't know what they're going to do to try and get better. Utah's got enough space to make a big move though. Like, and a GM full of assets that has shown an aggressiveness and said, all right, this is like, we're going for it. We've been collecting picks for years, and this is what we're using them for. It's not to draft. They've got 3 second rounders in this next year's draft. Like, don't use them, man. Trade those.
I do not think that this tier list will look anything like this by the end of the season. I'll put it to you that way. I think we might see some teams crater and we might see some teams ascend. I think Avs and Dallas will stay at the top, but everywhere else we'll see. Either way, we've gone goalies, we've gone defense. The Avs have ranked pretty well so far. We're doing forwards tomorrow, so we'll see. We'll round out the rest of the Central Division and where they're at as preseason creeps closer every single day. But we are already over time today. We do have to wrap this up. We appreciate everyone hanging out for us. Catch us at the new time all week, 1:15 Mountain. You know where to find us. We appreciate y'all. This has been the DNVR Avalanche podcast, and we'll see you tomorrow.
all city like the mayor.